Good morning, everyone. Welcome to day 2 of our Queensland Rumble. My name is Gracie. I'm from Queensland, and I'm joined with
Dragon from the ACT.
Awesome. And we'll be your commentators today for the next hour whilst we get started with our pool round of games today. So the game that's just gone in is we have Spartans on red, Leviathan on blue, and we have Adelaide Apex on green. So, Dragon, picks for the game. Who do you think will go?
Well, I mean, Spartans is the easy pick, but Apex is the one that's actually got off to an early lead with a quick base take. We're very early in this game, and they've already taken a blue base.
And maybe playing... Oh, sorry, Dragon.
No, Bonfire, already on fire for his team.
Exactly. It's been a minute and a half. Already a base. We have some good pack points there as well. You've got Stalker, and you've also got Mad Cans, and also Sirical as well, starting off some really good pack points too.
Yeah, and you can see a few of the Adelaide players. Their pack points are actually a little low early on. I wonder, they're probably the defenders holding their base.
Holding base at home, definitely.
You can see there's already a denial shot on volley at green base as well. So clearly green's got a few people home, keeping the other teams honest.
Oh, and as we say that, we have Memeless going for blue base. Oh, and he was denied by Stalker. So we obviously have green and red down at blue, so they're probably fighting for it right now.
Absolutely, that's always a bit challenging when you have to actually play the two other teams for the base.
And I definitely find as well another deny. Yep. And I definitely find in this maze as well, it's very easy to piggyback off another team. So piggybacking is simply where you pretty much do all the hard work, you get in, you clear out the whole base, and you get shot, and then you have someone strolling behind you and take the base.
Yes, these bases I find that's another denial as well. Mad Cans taking a few denial points early. And that is exactly what we see in this maze a lot. The bases are very open, I find, in the middle. There's not a lot of safe shooter spots, and especially if you're trying to take them by yourself or with only one teammate in a bit of chaos, it can be very difficult to take a clean base. Stalker now going for green base, and he is successful.
Second base of the game to Stalker.
And that jumps the Spartans right up in the lead. As you mentioned, their pack points were looking pretty healthy, and as soon as they take a base, they're now 2,000 points in the lead.
And to also mention that as well, Leviathan's pack points are really good. So,
and that's Stalker quickly with both bases going straight from green base to a blue base take. Hopefully Stalker's now heading home for a wonderful defensive game. I personally find that the most satisfying way to play. Oh, yeah. 2 bases early and a hard defense for the rest of the game.
Just go home and you can just muck around and shoot a whole bunch of them.
All of the denials. All of the denials.
I wonder where... A little bit quiet at the moment. Hopefully, like I said, it's probably Stalker's gone back home. Maybe Mad Cans might perhaps swap out with Potato, maybe get him a base, or maybe Zero. That's what I'm guessing as well. Oh, the mention that I wanted to make is actually Leviathan's pack points. Oh, so they're on par with Apex, but they haven't got any bases. So if you look at Sirical and Volley, and even Whippet as well, really good pack points to start off that game too. So not even halfway in the game. Because usually I think a good amount of pack points is about 4K, give or take.
Oh no! Yep, Mad Cans now going for his green base, and he's got it.
It's the worst thing to happen to Team Deny. Same thing again, you do all the work, you get into the base, you start shooting to be shot by your teammate. That just comes with the chaos of, everything's happening, I need to shoot everything.
This particular incident, I think we can at least give him the pass. It's the absolute worst is when it happens in an empty base.
Oh,
I saw one of those yesterday while reffing. That was pretty unfortunate.
Oh, it's just the worst thing.
Well, Mad Cans now at blue. They look like they're roaming very quickly between the 2 bases. Oh, but he gets denied.
Another deny.
And then once again, we see both green and red players shooting at blue base. So there's clearly a whole lot of action around blue base. Unfortunately, we don't have the base cameras up just yet. So we can't check out the action directly. But yeah, it's lots of fighting quickly. Blue base is an interesting one, I find, because that does turn into a very quick fight.
Definitely.
And there are some strong defensive positions in the base, but they are completely open to a quick attack from the other side.
Definitely.
So if your teammate doesn't get that shot on the attacking player that's coming in the door, you're probably getting hit in the back, and then they've got a nice clean shot at the base.
And I love bases in which, like, you can't just take up a position yourself a certain way, you can never get shot out. Like, I think I prefer bases that have that dynamic where you do rely on comms. You know, you can get shot out of every position. Like, it just kind of keeps the game flowing. Instead of just sitting in a position and just, like, absolutely killing it for 12 minutes and knowing you can get shot out.
I mean, that can be super satisfying if you can do that, but I personally agree. I find it much more fun to play a free-flowing and more aggressive form of Labour's Tag, where everyone has to stay on the move. We had a question in the chat there. I'm seeing, are we able to see the base cams? Look, we have someone who is working very hard right now trying to get the base cams up for us, but we don't have them available just yet. As soon as we do, we'll be jumping around and having a bit of a look at the action. So unfortunately, right now, we just have to rely on what we're seeing with players putting shots in the base.
All right, so
Meaningless having another go at blue base. Another denial. So Meaningless, if you have a look at that score, he's unfortunately having a very, very, very rough start to this game. Into the negatives, and there's all denials points.
Hopefully, he probably he's really good enough. He'll get it back. His score back.
He will absolutely. As soon as he gets one of those bases, he will be right back into it.
Hopefully, he'll probably secure his base. Hopefully, he doesn't put him down too much. I think so 2.5k lost already. Volley's lost a K. I think Mad Cannon's has lost a K. So about
Mad Cannon's lost 2k because he put 5 shots into green base to take it as.
Oh yeah,
and that's the hard thing is that psychological point where you get denied a few times and you really start feeling down and out. Yep. And you just have to remember all the other teams are getting those denials too. It's not just you, and you have to just keep pushing through it.
Keep going. Never drop your head, hey.
And don't tilt.
So that's the thing, right? When you're in there and you're having a bit of a rough game, people do that. People know you've got to deny, you've got to down about it, so just keep your head up.
Yeah. And the number of games you see lose on tilt, where they could have just kept their heads, kept going, but then they just start getting desperate for that base. Then
you start doing silly stuff.
Well, we got blue base. They're open now at blue base. Exit cleanly. The first clean bases we've seen today.
It's a really good defense, though. I mean, like Blue's base has only gone down twice. Like in a
3 times there. So 2 on green.
Yes. I still think that's pretty good. I mean, when you look at some of the players that have been in there, so Whippet, I think, has only been playing Lades for a couple of years, so and she's got 4K. You've got the likes of Siracle and Neros who've been around for a little while. Tuscan, I think, only been playing for a couple of years. And then you've got Volley as well. So he's been on a few teams down New South Wales, recently up to Queensland. So I think it's really good. It's really good for these guys, I think. Hopefully they can maintain it.
Yeah, there's a lot of Adelaide players who are just... Bonfire has been around for a while. Oh, green. Now Volley gets the green base on his second try.
Oh, that was a quick deny.
That's a quick deny. Whippet's got a very high score, as you said, in pack points. How many denials does she have going there? She's already got 2 denials. So if you have a look at their top 3 pack points players, all have 2 denials.
Excellent.
So they are playing nice defense. And as we thought, if you have a look at the denials, Stalker's also got 3 denial shots there. So he got both bases and he's gone home and he is in fact defending.
Oh, definitely. Which is really interesting. I literally heard this morning being like, my feet hurt, I can't run properly. Obviously lying.
I mean, at least when you're attacking blue and green base, it's not a very long distance between them. So if your poor 18 feet can probably make that very short run between those 2 bases.
Up and down ramps.
Oh, that's the best.
All right, so we're getting to the pointy end of the game. We have 2.5 minutes left. So we've got a 7K. Whoop.
Yep. And they're playing base. So it looks like the red team, the Spartans, have worked out a good strategy for taking that blue base because all their blue bases, I think, have been pretty clean.
Pretty clean.
They just lost a few into green base early on.
Yeah.
Oh, and that 2-shot denial in their case, but that was early. So they seem to have got their stride now with taking that blue base. And unfortunately, we don't have the cameras, but I'm guessing I've seen a lot of teams playing with 2 attackers and either 3 defenders or 2 defenders and a player sort of floating around the middle.
So initially, a lot of teams thought, especially Queensland teams, we might do like 3 attack and 2 defence. But actually, starting this competition, a lot of teams have gone, nah, we're going to have 3 at home, maybe a float, and then we'll have 2 out and 1 attack. That's generally what we've seen from a lot of teams here that have played, that have come in and started playing in this maze that aren't from this side.
Yeah, and I've noticed in past competitions, sometimes there tends to be a trend towards more defensive games as the competition goes on and people want to solidify their ladder position.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can see that in this maze because it's not a defensive maze in my experience. Oh, we're going to green attack. Blue player, Sirical going for green base. Oh, 2-shot denied by Memeless. Memeless paying back the pain on some of those denials by dishing them out to someone else. That's another thing that makes you feel better when you've taken a few denial shots earlier in the game, but then you get to pay them back to someone else. And you're like, right, now my ledger is balanced. I'm no longer in the red.
Yep. I think minute left. I think Spartans have this one. Unless Apex can get 2 bases in a minute, they pretty much have to get one very soon and then hopefully secure one in the next 30 seconds.
They would also have to take probably a red base to do that, and no one has actually taken a red base yet this game. Spartans' defense has clearly been on point. I mean, they do have the advantage of having those players up on the high ramps, up on the high ground, shooting down. So it can be a bit of a harder base to attack. You don't generally get the element of surprise.
No,
because people are usually watching those roads out.
Because how you position yourself at red is you can pretty much stick one person kind of at the back of red down a ramp, and you pretty much see a lot of avenues, and then the other person goes down to more of like a higher ground, so you can actually see the whole maze. So it's very, very hard to sneak into red. You'd have to do it while someone's perhaps turning their back or a bit preoccupied with something else.
Loading. That could be. We got up that back ramp the other day with some of the person there had to go reload, and they were looking the other way, and they were.
All right, so the game has finished, and the results are Spartans in first place with 5 bases, Leviathan 24k with 1 base. That's a really good score. As Leviathan, I'd honestly be very happy with that score. Yep. I think they're standing there. You also got the 6k pack. Like, no bases. Tuscan almost 5k pack. Volley, same thing, 4k. I'd honestly be very happy with that. They got a lot of good pack points when they got those denials. Yep. So I think they should be very happy with that second, especially against teams like Apex and Spartans. Because I think Apex been playing together now for a couple of years. I think they might have changed out a couple of players between teams within them, but still a very good wide array of really good solid players with that. So I think they should be very happy with that.
Yeah, it's not just the solid players, as you were saying, it's the players who have practiced with playing together where you don't need to communicate verbally as much because you know what your teammate is thinking.
Exactly. Time's the factor, right? You've been playing with your team for years. You know each other's styles. You know what you can just look at each other and you know what you think, right? Like it just when you get to the point of being on a team where you can do that, it's a beautiful thing.
Yep, and especially for a team like that, like a team where there are a lot of very fast players. Yes. They can play a fast-paced, rapid game, which I think that's what this game was. Because I know Spartans, they always play that style. Mm-hmm. They play fast and aggressive. Yep, and they may really make you work.
I remember once I was going back a couple of years, like in Sunny Coast, when we used to ref. Spartans just to run past you, and no joke, a minute later you'd feel the draft. You'd always know where a Spartan was because you could feel the draft.